My name is Sagi Mann, and I'm a painter. I now live in a little town in North Suffolk with my wife, Frances. For 25 years, I've been registered blind. My desire has always been to make paintings, to make visual metaphors for my experience of reality. In the early 70s, when I was 34, 35, I got cataracts in both my eyes. Then, in late 79 or 80, I had a retinal detachment in my right eye, and then my left retina detached.
I describe myself as an artist living in Johannesburg who makes drawings, and sometimes the drawings are filmed and become animated films. Sometimes there are performers in front of the animated films, and they become theatre or opera. So it becomes a drawing in 4 dimensions, in space and extending over time. The studio here is both a vital physical and psychic space. In a way, you can think of it as a kind of expansion of one's head, where instead of a synapse or a thought traveling 3 centimeters from one part of the brain to another, it's the 8 meters walk across the studio from one drawing to another image.
My name is Tosin Akingba. I'm a graphite and charcoal artist, and I major mostly on facial expression.
She never dreamed forever be nobody wifey. Yeah.
I started drawing when I was a child, and I've always loved drawing. I remember when I was in secondary school when the talent really, came out of me, and people started noticing me in the streets, in school. My principal and my parents knew that I was very good at drawing. I do draw on chalkboards. I draw for my then PHE teacher, that was physical health education, at the GSS level. I would leave my class and then go to other classes just to help her draw athletes on the chalkboard. Always loved drawing, but I never developed my talent. But I do draw for fun back then. I draw to decorate. I would decorate my classrooms with Super Striker comic books. I would draw from the comic books on cardboard papers and then paste in my classrooms.
This is Kim Jung-gi. You've probably heard of him. He does these amazingly accurate drawings from his memory without any construction lines. Everybody is amazed by his memory. Even me. Especially me. My memory is embarrassing. My name is Stan Prokopenko. In this episode of Proko, I'm going to try to figure out why Kim Jung-gi is so good. What makes him one of the best draftsmen in the world? If you like this video, please subscribe. In this video, we use a voice actor to translate Kim Jung-gi. He's from South Korea and doesn't speak English.
I don't think it's gonna go well today.
Oh, and if you're sensitive to nudity and sexual drawings, proceed with caution. I drove up to LA when I heard he's performing. Maybe some of his skill will rub off on me. He does events like this frequently. He travels half the year. The other half he spends with his family. He said he tries not to draw too much when he's home. I don't believe him. He's always drawing. He draws on paper that's way too big for most people to fill in an afternoon. Not for him. He's the master. And I said that he's performing. It pretty much is a performance at this point. He's there to entertain. Half the time, he's cracking jokes.
I just made 3 mistakes. Just now.
People sit and watch him for 3 hours, completely mesmerized by the magic. Some people ask questions. Many are about his ability to visualize the drawing before he begins.
When did you realize you had a good memory?
Everyone wants to figure out how they can get this good. How can I draw anything from imagination? How can I get such a giant visual library in my brain? Tell us the secret, Kim Jung-gi. I couldn't help myself. I asked about it too. You think you were born with a better memory than most people?
I'd say that I'm able to remember and recall images for a much longer period of time than most people. But I also drew so much. I probably drew way more than people think I have. I never cared for academics, so while I was attending school, I'll be drawing from first period to the very last.
Most people assume he has a photographic memory. But when I asked him about it, he said he doesn't. Of course, some part of it is a talent he was born with, but we can't overlook how much that talent was developed.
The idea of painting when you were totally blind seemed a nonsense to me. And so when I came back from hospital, I remember standing in my studio and thinking, you know, now what? I thought, well, I've got this canvas stretched, ready to go. I've got all this paint and my brushes, and I thought, I wonder what would happen if I give that a go. So I brushed ultramarine up there where the sky was, and I had the most extraordinary sensation. I saw the canvas go blue. I painted for about an hour, and then my daughter was sort of walking by, and she said, God, Dad, that's beautiful. So I thought, well, there you go. There is painting after blindness, and I've been doing it ever since.
This is the studio, the garden studio. There's a larger studio in town where the workshops happen, where sculpture's made. But this is where animation, the drawing, the editing happens. I guess it all starts from charcoal drawings. You can change charcoal as quickly as you can change your mind. One can take a drawing and with one brush it just disappears. So there's a flexibility in it, as well as a kind of granularity that I really like. You know, the brushes, when you get them, keep a good point, so you can work quite accurately. And as they get more used, they become more recalcitrant and don't keep their shape. So there's a kind of different ways of drawing with either the good or the bad brush. Like the charcoal, it's very adjustable. It's adjustable not by rubbing it up, but by sticking other sheets over.
Symbolism in the drawing, like the crucifix on our forehead, and that signifies, you know, the body. I mean, church, Christ, you know, religion, Christianity. And you can see her hands. She's in a praying position. And what you'll be able to notice very, very well that stands out are our eyes. Our eyes are blurred out. Now, what's the meaning of this zombie of the cross? It simply means how people are blinded by religion. This one is my latest piece.
I was the eldest son. They weren't so keen on me pursuing the arts. So, although all my school reports said artistically talented, would be good to encourage him to pursue that field, my parents never let me take any art classes. It wasn't until high school that they allowed me to, probably because they feared that I wouldn't get into any colleges at that rate. They preferred that I go to a college of fine arts than no college at all. They actually regret that they didn't give me an art education earlier. But aside from that, they were very supportive and great parents. After high school, even before high school, they supported me in my studies, although I had no interest in academics, buying fruits for me and sending me to private tutors and so on. In a lot of Asian cultures, there are bigger expectations for the eldest child, and they had big dreams for me. It's just that I didn't follow them.
Kim Jung-gi doesn't seem like the type of guy that would follow someone else's dreams. He does what he wants. He says what he wants. He draws what he wants. What do your siblings do?
One, my little brother, works for a pharmaceutical company, and my little sister is married and is an ordinary housewife.
Are they happy?
I think I'm the happiest.
Pre-total blindness, I would say I was a landscape painter. And as I got blinder, figures at touching distance became more important. Now, what I had from painting previous paintings with standing figures in was this cardboard tube. It's the height of my wife, and that bit of blue tack marks her chin, that marks her waist, that marks her knees. And I then mark down this standing figure on my canvas, the different heights which correspond to those positions. So I begin to build up a drawing in blue tack.
Madness of the South African political maelstrom. But fundamentally, I've understood that the work and the connection to the people here and to the politics and to the world is fundamental to the work. Even if the work isn't about that, even if it's painting a landscape or drawing a landscape or an ink drawing of a portrait, it's very inflected by what it is to be here, by the city that is an animation in itself. And that's always seemed very valuable to me, and that's why I've stayed here all these years.
The idea of painting when you were totally blind seemed a nonsense to me. And so when I came back from hospital, I remember standing in my studio and thinking, you know, now what? I thought, well, I've got this canvas stretched, ready to go. I've got all this paint and my brushes, and I thought, I wonder what would happen if I give that a go. So I brushed ultramarine up there where the sky was, and I had the most extraordinary sensation. I saw the canvas go blue. I painted for about an hour, and then my daughter was sort of walking by, and she said, God, Dad, that's beautiful. So I thought, well, there you go, there is painting after blindness, and I've been doing it ever since.
I start drawing, she'll be like, I thought I told you to read your book. Then she will spank me and tell me I'm not serious, I don't want to pass, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not facing my studies well as she expected. But it kept on going on forever, and then she was like, maybe this is actually what this girl wants to do, maybe I should just leave her alone. But my father had other thoughts. He wasn't really okay with me doing it, except I created time for myself, like, okay, 3 hours for reading and maybe 1 hour or 2 hours for my leisure, for my drawings or whatever.
She's a good girl, but she's bad too. My mama
is now around the area of about £50,000. They're not cosy little conventional paintings. They are edgy, dangerous. They tell stories. They're full of impact through colour. I think they're very individual. It is astonishing, and I can't really fathom it. And he is brilliant.
I had to sort of reinvent painting for myself. It seems sort of more or less impossible, but if you're just determined to keep going, you know, you don't need to give up. Because if your subject is your own experience, then as long as you're having an experience, you've got a subject. And that has turned out to be true even into total blindness.
And I draw. So it's as natural for me as breathing. I'm not even thinking about what I'm drawing most of the time. If I can't think of anything to draw, I just draw a person first and keep adding to it. See, I still find drawing fun, and I hope that I don't lose that sense of joy for a long time.
He said that in 10 years, he doesn't want to travel so much.
I hope to be a little more relaxed and composed. I don't want to draw so much for the purpose of showing other people, but rather for my own sake. And I hope that I still have the joy for drawing that I have now.
When he's not drawing for the show, he's in the back, drawing in books that people bought. Everybody that comes buys a book. So he does 30+ drawings that day. And that's in addition to the one big one he spent 3 hours on. It really is like breathing to him. He even draws during our interview. He says that when he travels, he's always drawing to discourage people from asking him questions. I don't believe him. I think he looks for any excuse he can get to draw. Drawing is breathing. As long as he's breathing, he's happy. He's happy because he follows his gut. He does what he wants. He's happy because he gets to do what he loves all day.
Thank you everyone for watching the last 3 hours.
This is Kim Jung-gi.